Today I'm going to be going through 6 things to check if you're not getting enough clients. So if you're not getting clients, you're not getting as many as you would like to be getting, these are 6 simple things that you can check to ensure that you're doing all of the right things to put your best foot forward and get as many clients as you can. This isn't hacky or gimmicky stuff like that. Like I said, they're simple, nothing that's going to blow you away mentally. But if you don't have a process or a system like this for checking what you're doing, then this can be helpful for you. And one of these reasons I found is usually the reason why something's not working, at least in my experience. Like I said, it usually comes down to one of these 6 things. So first one, are you providing a service that people actually want? Now again, that might sound simple, but what I find with a lot of people when they start a business or they start freelancing, I found this a lot with family and friends who ask me what I do. And what they want to do is they want to find something that nobody else is doing, and they want to do that because they think that that'll allow them to sort of corner the market. They have this really good idea, they believe, and they want to offer that product or service because they think that they'll be the only one providing it, and all these millions and millions of people will come to them. Sometimes that works. There's obviously been examples of that throughout history, but more often than not, there's a reason why nobody else is offering that product or service, because other people don't want it, or they're not willing to pay for it, or they're not willing to pay that much for it. So you really want to check and make sure that the service that you're trying to offer is something that people actually want. Now, a simple way to do that, and I've talked about this before, but a really simple way to do that is just to go over on Fiverr and check your category, graphic design, web development, writing, whatever it is that you do, and just look under there, and you're going to see hundreds of examples of services that people are offering right now, that people are paying for right now. You're going to see which ones, what they cost, which ones are selling the best, all that sort of thing. It's a really incredible research tool that you can use to verify the market viability of whatever service it is that you want to offer. So take 5-10 minutes, go over there, see if other people are offering a similar service, and if they are, then you're probably in good shape with that one. The next one is, are you at least as good as your competitors? Now, this isn't something that anybody wants to talk about, but having taught 26,000 other freelancers now, this is something that I run into quite a bit. I get people who send me their websites and ask, hey, what's wrong? I'm having trouble getting hired, etc., etc. And the fact of the matter is, the website just isn't that good. And nobody wants to hear that, but it's the truth. And the thing about it is, it's better to know and now know that that's the thing that you have to work on than to think that that's not the problem and you're doing all this other stuff that's never going to help you move the needle because you're just not as good as you need to be at the actual service you perform. So the way to check that is just to look at the competitors in your market. Look at their portfolios. I don't recommend spending all day, every day worrying about your competitors, but you should do a basic check and make sure that what you deliver is at least as good as your sort of main competitors, and hopefully better. Because if it's not, then you're really never going to get anywhere, and the thing that you need to work on is just getting better at the service you perform. So that's number 2. Number 3 is, do you have a superior offer? This is the thing I've been talking a lot about lately, because in the services industries, for freelancers, that sort of thing, it's something that not a lot of people really think about or do, and it's super important. We kind of get away with it because services are a little bit easier to sell than products. But when you start doing this and start thinking about this, it makes a huge difference. So, do you have a superior offer? And the example I've used in past videos is, if you think about an infomercial, when they sell you a knife, for example, they don't just sell you the knife, right? They'll sell you 2 knives for the price of one. They'll give you, a butcher block to put your knives in. They'll give you a recipe cookbook for recipes that you can use your knife to cook with, etc., etc. Like, they really stack on the value of the offer itself, not just the individual product or service. Now, you might think, well, those infomercials are dumb, but there's a reason why those infomercials run over and over and over and over, many of them for years, because they work. The companies that help, a lot of the companies, the actual product creators, they're not the ones doing the infomercials. They outsource it to a company. The companies that do that, they're billion-dollar companies. So these infomercials, they keep running because they work. So stacking an offer like that can really help you to increase the perceived value of what it is that you do. And that's really the name of the game. The more you increase the perceived value, the easier it is to get hired, the more you can charge, all of those things. So you want to check again and look at your competitors and see, do you have a superior offer? Do you have an offer that's better than theirs? If your offer isn't better, then why is someone going to go with you over somebody else? They're not. They're going to go with the superior offer. So look for ways to increase the perceived value of your offer. Now, along those lines, I do have a training that I've created called 13 Tactics to Triple What You Charge. And in that, what you're going to learn is 13 different things that you can do to increase the perceived value of your services that allows you to double or triple what you're currently charging. So if you want to learn more about that, or you want to get access to that training, it's completely free. Just go to 13tactics.com and you'll be able to get access to that. All right, next, are you charging too much or too little? So I think the charging too much thing is obvious. Sometimes that's the case, especially if you're in a situation where you don't have as good of an offer as your competitors, but you're charging more. It's going to be really difficult to get hired. So again, that's why it's important that you check your competitors, how good they are, what they're offering, and what they're charging, so you have some understanding of the market and what's a good offer, what's a good price. The one that's probably a little more misunderstood is, are you charging too little? You might think, how's that possible? The example I'll use is Ted Nicholas. I talked about this in the email I wrote a few weeks back, but Ted Nicholas is known as kind of one of the godfathers of copywriting. He kind of got back into it back in the 60s and 70s. And there's a whole story about how he got into it, but at a certain point he became someone who started teaching other people how to do copywriting, and he wrote a book. And this book was kind of like his seminal work. It was highly anticipated. People were, looking forward to this book coming out. In fact, today the book sells for around $200 on Amazon. Anyway, he wrote the book. He launched the book. He initially sold the book for $27, and it tanked. Almost nobody bought it, and it was just a big flop. And so what did he do? Well, he didn't go and change any of his copy. He didn't, give up. He didn't change anything in the book. He just raised the price from $27 to $49. The moment he did that, it took off. It blew up, and that's why today it's so in demand that you have to pay upwards of $200 just to get the book today. All he did was change the price. Why? Well, because, so what we talked about, when you increase the perceived value of your product or service, then what happens is people build up in their mind what they think the price might be of that product or service. And when you put the price in front of them and it doesn't match, it throws them off. They think something's wrong. And one of the big marketing axioms is, a confused mind never buys. It confuses them, and so they don't buy. So you want to make sure that your price matches all the things that you're doing to increase the perceived value of your service. And it might be a case where you're not charging too much, but you're actually charging too little. So that's something to check. Next, do you have a defined system for getting new clients? This can be anything. It can be cold calling or cold emailing people. It can be creating content. It can be doing networking in your local community. Whatever it is, you want a defined system for bringing in new clients. Something that you do day in and day out, that it's well defined. Step 1, step 2, step 3. If you don't have that, then you really don't have a good process for getting new clients. And it's always going to be just kind of shooting from the hip, random, haphazard, day to day things may change, etc. You want a well-defined system that's going to get you a lot more consistent results, and then you can just tweak it and get better at it and so forth. So, do you have a defined system for getting new clients? Finally, are you speaking the client's language? And this takes many forms. This is one of the things I talked about way back when I first started talking about freelancing. I had noticed on Upwork, which is one of the things that I first started talking about, I noticed on Upwork that people, developers in particular, would put things like, I'm well versed in HTML and PHP and CSS and these sorts of things. And my point that I would make is, that's all fine and well, but the majority of clients aren't going to really understand what those things mean. They understand at a basic level what those languages are, but it's not the kind of verbiage that's going to get them excited or that they really care about all of that much. What they really want to know is what you can do for them. And so I would encourage developers to talk more about the end results that they were delivering, the ultimate value that they were delivering, not the languages that they knew. And so that's one example of making sure you're speaking the client's language. The late negotiator Jim Camp, who's considered the world's most feared negotiator, he's the guy that the FBI would bring in to train their crisis negotiation people. He had a saying, said, as long as you're in their world, you're safe. As long as you're talking about their hopes, their fears, their dreams, etc., you're safe. They're going to be paying attention. They're going to be listening to you. The moment you step outside of that, that's when you become unsafe. That's when it becomes a risk. That's when you can lose their attention. So when it comes to your clients, you want to make sure you're constantly speaking their language. You're talking about the things that matter to them. If you're a developer, PHP doesn't matter to them for the most part. It's different if you're talking about getting hired for a job, but we're talking about freelancing here. They care about the website you can build or the application you can build, the mobile app, whatever. That's what they care about. They don't care about the languages that you use to get there for the most part. So you always want to make sure you're speaking the client's language and you're not getting too jargony or anything like that. And you're talking about their hopes and their fears and so forth. So again, those are 6 really simple things that you can just go through, look at all your stuff and see, just ask yourself these questions as you look at it and make sure that you're doing all of these things and you're doing them well. And I found, again, in my experience, that if you're having trouble getting clients, it usually comes down to one of these 6 things. So go through, check that, and make sure those things are all in order for you. I'll give you a bonus 7th one, which is you also want to make sure that you are catering your services or you're marketing your services to people that can actually pay you. That people have money, where payment's not going to be an issue. You're not constantly struggling around money. And there's several ways that you can do that. And that's one of the things that I teach you in my 10K client blueprint, which is, again, is a free PDF that you can download. Just go to 10kclients.com. I'll drop links in the description as well. But that blueprint's going to show you how to go out and find people that actually have money. Premium, high-end clients that you can cater your services to, and you don't have to constantly worry about them being worried about money or whether they can pay and that sort of thing. So again, that's 10kclients.com, completely free PDF that you can check out. All right, that's it. If you liked the video, I'd appreciate if you give it a thumbs up. If you know anybody else, any other freelancers who can benefit from these 6 things, I'd appreciate if you'd share that with them as well. All right, that's it. We'll talk to you next time.